Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Tales from the Hood 2. You wanted the shit? Well, now you're knee deep in the shit.
Written and directed by Rusty Cundieff and Darin, Tales from the Hood 2 is an urban anthology film that consists of 4 shorts and a rapper. Much like the first film, this mixes horror, comedy, and societal issues all together to both entertain and inform. Now, it is no secret that we are huge fans of the original. I'm even wearing the shirt. We were really looking forward to this movie, so I can't wait to talk about it. What do we like?
I really liked the humor in this film. It was much more over the top. I found myself laughing more and enjoying more the comedic nature that they were going with this, especially in the first short that we see. The first one, the Good Golly, that one was the most ridiculous, but it was the good kind of ridiculous. And it had a nice throwback.
And of course it definitely touches on and maybe lingers a little bit too long on like the racial issues surrounding this whole museum. But essentially, this girl's in love with this Golly doll.
Oh, he looks just like my first. Hi, Golly. Hi, little Golly G.
It comes to life and gets revenge.
The idea that you have a full suit doll attacking.
I get it. It's not lost on me, John, I know.
This one also had the best gore.
We also had like a fine-ass Babe and Audrey. Holy shit. This review is gonna be weirdly structured. This is why we don't do anthologies, because we end up just focusing on one short and then we move on, and then we have a 20-minute review after. All of the shorts were pretty solid. We've got like the funny over-the-top ones. We've got very serious ones. We've got the gangster one where there's a couple gangsters. They kill a guy, but they realize, wait, we've killed the guy that we need to know where the stash of money's at. So this medium basically becomes the guy that they accidentally kill just to try and find whatever the shit they were looking for. It's always funny when like a white guy swaps body with a black guy. It's just funny.
Ain't nobody judging cause I'm black or my controversial past. I'ma go and see a movie and relax.
And it's also great because like he's exacting revenge. There's a lot of shit happening here and it's fun.
And the whole like possession where he's like shaking his head. It's very entertaining.
Yeah, and it's got that like slapstick feel to it, and that's what's cool about the Tales from the Hood series. It's letting you know about all these issues while working it into something fun, so you walk away remembering the movie because of the slapstick nature with all the wacky sound effects and the cool gore, but then you also walk away remembering like, oh yeah, that was like some real shit they were touching on. And I think that's what's really unique about like Tales from the Hood.
The Spinners, baby.
That's right, the Spinners.
Woo! Keith David playing Mr. Sims is fantastic. Some of you may know him as Goliath.
A gargoyle doesn't whine. He roars!
Some of you may know him as Spawn. But in this film, he's Mr. Sims, he's looking sharp, and he's sounding great.
And this crazy idea of bros over hoes.
I can't wait to hear this one.
I was super nervous when I found out it wasn't Clarence Williams III. I was like, he's not gonna do the shit properly. I was totally wrong.
Ah! The shit! They do not understand the shit. They do not understand the shit at all.
This is why when you go into remakes or reboots and sequels, you need to be completely open-minded because people can completely change your mind. When you have strong actors and people that can like just become these other characters is fucking bananas. Keith David crushed it. When it comes to anthology films, it's tough to like talk about all of the actors. This biggest standout has to be Kendrick Cross, who played Henry in the final short. Because that is a really serious story, it was important for Henry's character to not come off cheesy, and he did an excellent job.
Daddy said singles don't mean a damn thing. Black man's gotta hit a home run if he wants to score, and that's what I'm doing.
Even though this sequel doesn't have as cool of a beginning as the first one had, I'm giving credit to the opening credits because they were good. Like the different skeletons dancing around, I enjoyed it.
It kind of sets the mood too. Even when you know damn well it's just a skeleton with Element 3D's like default, hey, put it in the globe thing and bring it back. If we could incorporate 3D skeletons into our reviews, I think I would do it every time. I think it would cost too much.
Yeah.
Or at least take up too much time for us to be fucking getting these reviews out there. We're already 2 weeks behind when this came out probably. So, fuck. It was probably all this work right here.
Yeah.
Now, what didn't we like?
It's really hard to just center out one of the short stories in this film, but the date night short was the one that felt the most out of place. It does focus on rape culture and the looking the other way nature behind it. That, to me, isn't what makes this short bad. It's just how it's presented. The whole, vampire thing really felt out of place in comparison to the other shorts and the feel of the Tales from the Hood.
And this might actually be the only story that has a very significant plot hole, or maybe, a continuity error, which is these girls are vampires, but they're found on Tinder so that everybody can see them. And then when they're filming the girls, you can't see them. Things don't add up here. They're either vampires or they're not vampires. You can either see them or you can't see them. I don't think they can switch it on and off. I had a big issue with the final one. Well, as important as it is, I think it was way too serious for the rest of the film. We had vampires, we had big crazy mascots, and we had a psychic medium twisting heads around. And then you have this, an interracial couple, and just basically talking about politics and fighting for civil rights is completely different than everything else in this movie. And it makes an impact, and I get that, but I don't think this is the best delivery system for it.
The overall feel of the shorts with the rapper, it doesn't have that consistency. It's almost as if you're kind of like watching an episode on TV. It's different episodes, not one consistent film.
Even though the rapper is supposed to be just Mr. Sims telling these tales and stories to mold this robot AI, which ends up being pretty fun to close out the film. But there's something about just telling people, you're gonna hear some stories now. Now watch these stories.
That's right. You're here to tell it tales.
This just seemed a little bit half-assed as far as the rapper is concerned, for sure.
This film has become less gangster. I feel as though it's gotten rid of its hood for a cardigan.
How about a story about gangsters?
Gangsters, yes!
Especially considering that one short where they're okay, we're gonna get a little more gangster here. And it's that's a well-dressed man in a tie.
If I'm going and watching Tales from the Hood, I want urban horror. They were not in the hood once.
Tales from the Hood. None of these tales are from the hood. Just putting black guys in a movie and saying it's from the hood is not a thing. You can't just do that because I feel like you're pigeonholing yourself in the same thing you're trying to get out of.
Now that's smart.
It's ironic. Watch the first short.
Right. You're stereotyping yourself with the title of this film by not having any of this in the hood. None of it even represents the hood.
And it sucks doing a comparison to the first one because these are two standalone films, but you have Tales from the Hood that came out in 1995. Everything about that film made it more believable for the stories they were talking about based on the characters that you're seeing in the film. In this one, it is just coming off too much like a farce.
The concept is to touch on stereotypes and real issues, but they didn't use almost real world examples to deliver those issues. If you want to do gangsters beating up a gangster, don't make it some gangster in a parking lot filled with fucking Maseratis. It should be a gangster on the street that's actually selling crack. If you're talking about people being very insensitive, have it somebody at a Black Lives Matter protest. If you want to talk about date rape, do it in a club, not a fucking mansion. If you want to talk about political issues, do it in fucking Baltimore public areas where there is no voting booth. There are so many different ways to handle all of these issues that are actually real, and these are just so far from the truth, despite the subject matter. I just wanted to get that kind of off my chest because it's a very sensitive subject for a movie that has the opportunity to affect a lot. It is what it is. We will move on to our final thoughts and ratings. Despite some of the issues that I had with some of the storytelling, I did enjoy this film. I had a great time watching it because there are some fun, over-the-top moments that you're gonna laugh at, you're going to enjoy, and the characters in general are likable and or hateable, so you can't wait for them to die. Tales from the Hood 1 is hard to follow, and that's unfortunate. This one I don't think is comparable to it, but I still think it's worth watching. So I'm gonna give this 3 iPads made in America for America out of 5.
Tales from the Hood 1 is definitely in my top 10 horror films of all time, and to find out 20 years later that there was going to be a sequel, I was looking so forward to watching this film. Honestly, I had fun watching it. This really is nothing like the first one, which is disappointing, but it's still a fun film. But at the same time, they did miss the mark in the execution with a few issues. They really dropped the creepy horror aspect and amped up the comedic satire nature. And even if you haven't seen the first one, you can still just jump right into this one and you won't miss a beat. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 3 bitch-ass handshakes out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, there are links in the description where you can find it. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.